Welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Kerr, and I wear many hats here at All Souls, and among them I am the Community Outreach Chairman. So on behalf of our priest, Father Tom, and our congregation, it's my privilege to welcome you here to our monthly Saturdays at 6 concert. And just to remind folks who call and ask what time is the Saturdays at 6 concert, it is indeed at 6 o'clock, as it is every time we do these. You may have seen our mission statement on the back of the little flyer, and you may have seen it when you walked in the church up there on the wall. If you go to our website, you'll see our mission statement, which suggests that we take our mission statement pretty seriously. And our mission statement says that we strive to be mutually supportive of the personal spiritual journey, respecting the individuality of all, and accepting the value of meeting people wherever they are on that journey. So though we are a Christian community, we do recognize that Christianity has many different branches, and that Christianity is one of many trees in the spiritual forest. So we really take very seriously meeting people wherever they are. Our priest, Father Tom, likes to say that we practice radical hospitality here. And we meet all sorts of interesting people here. And there are various ways that we do it. So one of the roles that I have here at the church is I'm the guy who opens the doors every morning. And it's not unusual when I open those doors that there's someone waiting to come in. So we meet people by keeping our doors open every day. We meet people by the fact that we collect food to feed the hungry every day as well. So if you brought food tonight, I thank you. If you didn't bring food tonight, next time you're in the area, just stop off. There's always a bin there. We take that to St. Gerard's Mejia Roman Catholic Church in Terryville, and they have a soup kitchen. They feed a couple hundred families in the area. So we meet people there. We also meet people, we do Native American drumming once a month as well. And as a regular churchgoer, I got to tell you, when we sit around in a circle once a month with the Native American drummer, and I look around at the people I'm sitting next to, it's a little bit different than the people I usually see sitting in the pews. So people that, quite often people who come to drumming have been turned off and have had a negative experience somewhere along the way with formalized religion and feel more comfortable in the Native American healing experience. So we do that. We also do our monthly poetry here as well. So every month we do a poetry reading. We call that Second Saturday's Poetry Reading. We do that once a month. And of course we have the concerts. Now with regard to the poetry, when we started that, the Poet Laureate of Suffolk County was Gladys Henderson. And she was the one who taught me early on that poetry is a means of prayer, just another means of prayer. So I reminded of that every time we do a poetry reading. And then when we do the concerts, it was St. Augustine that said, singing is like, I'm sure you heard this, Heidi, somewhere along the way, singing is like praying twice. So there's a spiritual aspect to our concerts as well. So we do those monthly, and on a weekly basis, we meet all sorts of interesting people as well, because we do a weekly, every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, Deacon Tom Brownworth and myself, Deacon Tom from Messiah Evangelical Lutheran Church, we do an interdenominational morning prayer service here. And it's a half-hour service, and a day that begins with prayer is likely to be a good day, and people from all different denominations come. And are very unusual that you would think the person who leads the rosary is also our bartender for tonight, Susan. So my wife Susan leads an interdenominational rosary. We do that every Wednesday at noon. So we meet interesting people there. And also, one of my roles here is I'm the director of the annual Souls for All Souls 5K race and 2K walk. We're going into our 16th year for that. And about 5 years ago, we decided to dedicate all proceeds from that race to add a bathroom to the back of the church. So I don't have to tell you when you're asking where the bathroom is to go to Fratelli's. And also, some of you commented, gee, I had people that would have liked to come, but they couldn't make it up the stairs. So we're going to put in some type of lift system as well. So that's going to be October 6th this year. So that's another way that we meet people. So in your little bulletin there, I put a little blue insert. I'm a firm believer in using color. Just a coincidence it matches my shirt. And the first page that you see is all the different outreach programs that we have here, including the concerts. So that's for your information. And the second side, I talked about the interfaith morning prayer service. So what you see there is a listing starting with the pastor coming on, the next guest preacher we have is Pastor Lisa Williams from the AME Church is going to be here on Tuesday. So we truly do bring in clergy and lay people from all different denominations. You'll see rabbis there, you'll see an imam there, you'll see the Roman Catholic Church, Lutheran Church, you name it. If there's a denomination, there'll be someone that participates in that. And people often look at this and say, well, why isn't my minister involved? So this is the schedule through September. So if you know of anyone who would like to come in and participate in Interfaith Morning Prayer Service, we do have openings in October, November, and December as well. So that's yours to keep. A couple of things before we begin the program tonight. There will be 2 sets, and we'll take a 15-minute intermission in between. Susan, could you hold up that chart? So these are very talented, accomplished doctoral students, but they are singing for their supper. So if you'd like to leave a thank you, I will count it. That goes directly to the musicians. That doesn't go to me. So please be generous to the musicians. And we will conclude the program. We'll have a 15-minute intermission, and we will conclude the program before 8 o'clock. So it's a 2-hour program. So I'm going to do something a little bit different tonight. So tonight, the music that we have is all in Italian. So this is a great opportunity to celebrate Italian Americans. And we're very fortunate to have with us tonight Robert Savino. Robert Savino was the Suffolk County Poet Laureate from 2015 to 17. He was the Bard's Laureate from 2019 to 2021. He is an original Long Island poet. He's a board member of the Walt Whitman Birthplace and the Long Island Poetry and Literary Repository Center. He's also the winner of the very prestigious 2008 Oberon Prize, Poetry Prize, and the Town of Islip Italian American Heritage Award as well for visual and performing arts and literature in 2019. He's co-editor of 2 bilingual collections of Italian American poets, including No Distance Between Us, this book here, which I'm actually going to quote from in a second. He's written several books, including Fireballs of an Illuminated Scarecrow, Inside a Turtle Shell, and I'm Not the Only One Here. He currently enjoys his role as a poet and mentor. So one of the things you may not know about me is I'm a poet as well. So I've been fortunate to publish over 25 poems in the last 2 or 3 years. And it was Robert who coached me early on and helped me find my poetic voice. So I thank Robert for that. So within the Italian American community, Robert is the past president of the Constantine Romandi Lodge, the Order of Sons of and Daughters of Italy in America, and a New York State chairperson of the Literary Awards Committee. And Sabrina, could you stand up as well? So Robert was president of the lodge. Sabrina, his wife, is the current president of the Constantino Romandi Lodge, and she was the first female to ever hold that, have that post. And she's also the district chairperson to 8 additional Suffolk County lodges as well. So Robert, I hope you don't mind. Gladys Henderson said that poetry is another form of prayer. So I'd like to just read this very brief poem from Robert that's in this anthology of Italian American poets. And it's called Ancestral Roots. Family and food pour into the foundation, crystallize a culture to fill the pages of history. I wasn't born among pastoral shepherds in the green heart of the Mediterranean. I was born a young prince in the borough of Queens, the eldest of the younger generation, growing up within a family hamlet of cousins, aunts, uncles, some with no relation by blood. I still eat pepper and eggs, heroes, the same as I once brought to Friday field trips while classmates ate PB&J spread on Wonder Bread. I drink wine from the same grapes as our backyard vine, season everything with hot peppers. Lamb, the meat of my choice. How much are we alike? So much I became you. I often stretch upward, scan the width of the world. Imagine the ceiling illuminated with the light of your wisdom. I am the oldest tree still standing. Our roots spread across this new soil of plenty, with many who share the same recipe for love. So let's welcome Robert Savino.
Thank you, Dan, for that introduction. Thank you for reading the poem. Thank you for your poetry and what you do here for All Souls. This is the first time I've been here live since prior to the pandemic for poetry, and I'm sure it's going to be just as peaceful and beautiful for music as it was for poetry on Saturdays. When Dan asked me to be part of a night of Italian-American music, I think he knew what the answer would be based on my passion for the Italian culture. I was just ready to go. And it's with my great pleasure that I will introduce to you, without further ado, the talent for tonight. Heidi Schneider is an American soprano and native of Buffalo, New York, and has been praised for an incredibly wide range and ease of production. She has recently given a daring dissertation recital featuring a contemporary work by local composer Kyle Kraus. And I think I overheard he might be here tonight. Kyle. Uniquely juxtaposed by Richard Strauss's Britanno Leader, songs featuring the use of various sound technologies, AI-generated art, and interpreted dance by the skilled dancer and mezzo-soprano Natasha Nelson. Heidi has engaged in many outstanding operatic roles over the past years, and she's excitedly looking forward to debuting the role of Susan in Stony Brook Opera's upcoming production of Les Nozze de Figaro, The Marriage of Figaro, at the Stoller Hall Center for the Arts in April. And I think you'll have to let us know about this, being that there's a reduced audience because of the rain, so get the word out.
Definitely.
She holds a bachelor's and master's of music degree and is currently pursuing a doctorate degree. And tonight, she's accompanied by Catherine Miller, an active solo pianist in New York City, a frequent performer of new music and music written by women. She's performed at the world's most prestigious halls, including Wheel Recital Hall in Boston's Jordan Hall. Catherine has won awards in a number of competitions, and as a passionate educator, she maintains a studio of nearly 30 private students. She also holds a bachelor's and master's in music degree and is currently pursuing a doctorate degree. Please join me in welcoming Heidi and Catherine to prepare yourself for Una Notte di Musica Italiana.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for that lovely introduction, and thank you so much for Dan for having us back here. It's been such a lovely time preparing this sweet recital for you all. I hope you enjoy. We'll start now with O del mio dolce ardor, which to me, it gives me feelings of when you're just absolutely head over heels in love. And I encourage you to look at the translations, which I provided for you in the larger bulletin packet. So feel free to look and immerse yourself in the Italian language. entitled Vittoria Mio Core is what I imagine to be freeing yourself from a bad love, victory of my heart. So I imagine this one to be very victorious in the sense that I'm finally free in that way. Vittoria, 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 mio cuore, non lagrimar più, non lagrimar più, e sciolta l'amore m'aver servito. Vittoria, Vittoria, mio cuore, non lagrimar più, e sciolta l'amore m'aver servito, e sciolta you'll find that the texture is a little different, and the title is of course "Sere crudele," which means though or although cruel one. So how I translate that, and you can see by the text, even though, cruel one, you're treating me very badly, I still love you, and I still will stay with you, and I will still try to fix you. So that's how I interpret this one.
Sempre
know it, and in this context, you know how much I loved you. You know how much I cared for you while we were together. You know very well. And this one has a lot of pain in it, despite its light surface. So I'll just leave it at that. This next one, se tu m'ami, se sospiri, if you love me, sigh only for me. So this one has a little bit of a double meaning though, because you'll see in the text that she, the narrator, does want her lover to only sigh for her, of course, but me, as the narrator, I'm allowed to do whatever I want. So there's a little bit of a double standard here. It's a very playful piece. All right, so we will conclude this portion with Già il sole dal Gange, which means already the sun is rising from the Ganges, the mountains. So this one is very much your happy-go-lucky, excited, very much optimistic piece with the sun cures everything. A good day of sunshine, a beautiful day, beautiful weather. It's not like something we see today. That beautiful weather, the sun rising, will cure all. And Dan will take it away with the instructions for the intermission. Thank you all so much.
So before we go into intermission, the church has been here since before the Civil War in one form or another. And this building, which is on the National Registry of Historic Places designed by Stanford White, has been here since 1896. So there's a lot of history here. So our tradition is I share one little bit of our history. So I'm going to share the history of this window here. But before we look at this window, I want you to look at this one. So that one is obviously, if you look at it, you'll recognize the three wise, many of you will recognize the three wise men on the right and Virgin Mary in the middle with Jesus, and on the left you got Joseph, and that's the Feast of the Epiphany, which is, you ever hear the expression the 12th day of Christmas? That's the 12th day of Christmas, the Feast of the Epiphany. In many cultures, they actually celebrate that day more than they celebrate Christmas. And I used to think as a little kid growing up that Christmas was the most important holiday. But then as I got deeper into my faith journey, I recognized over here, turning to the right, that it was the resurrection that was the most important. And stained glass windows used to be more important years ago than they are today, because years ago when they had stained glass windows, the reason they had stained glass windows in churches is most of the people couldn't read. So they would tell the story through the windows. And if you look at that one, it's interesting. You got the soldiers there, and it's not historically actually accurate. The soldiers at the resurrection, you see a bunch of them sleeping. At that time, they really weren't sleeping. Actually, the people who crucified Jesus, the soldiers saw what happened, and they were paid off. And they were told to tell people they were sleeping. So that's not exactly accurate, what happened there. And the other thing that's really interesting about the resurrection, and I won't go too deep into this theologically, is the guards were put around the tomb because the people who crucified him were afraid of what might happen. Whereas his followers, Mary Magdalene, when she went to the tomb, she went there to embalm the body. So his apostles assumed this was the end, that he wasn't coming back. But the people who crucified him kind of knew he was coming back. So, as Christians, that's our most important, because what we think when Jesus rose from the dead, he definitively showed that, he was different than anyone else. He wasn't just a good teacher and a nice guy. He was the Son of God because he was able to rise from the dead. So within Christianity, that's probably the most important event. But within the history of this church, that window is the most important story that I could possibly tell you. And if you look under Jesus' feet there, you'll see it's in honor of Bessie Littell, or Elizabeth Littell. She died in 1980. Sue and I came to this church in 1993. We were married here in 1994. So we never met Bessie Littell. But we know the legend of Bessie Littell. Bessie Littell was a retired school teacher, and those of you who live locally, she used to live out where the cottages are. And her claim to fame was she used to row to church in storms and stuff, and she used to get annoyed when people would want to drive her home. She said, no, I'll be fine. And in 1980, this church was not open to the public. This building was unsafe. It was structurally unsound. And like many churches that have to face the cost of either repairing a building, and they didn't have the money to do it, the church was on the verge of folding. And she has the audacity of getting up and dies during that period of time. The nerve of her to die when the church was going through this crisis. But what the people at the church didn't realize, when she died, she had a coin collection, a doll collection worth about $200,000. And it was her gift that enabled this church to be restored and reopened to the public, and also provided a cushion where the church could pay its bills through its very lean years. So I always tell people why that's the most important story is because the reason we're here is because of her gift. So that's a little history of the church. Bessie Littell. A couple of things before we go into the intimation. Sue, hold up the little jar there. So again, if you want to leave a thank you to the musicians. Also, there is a Friends of All Souls list here. So if you want to get, I will not ask you for money on this list, but if you want to get notices of our future concerts and the poetry readings in Native American, you just put your name and email, and I'll be happy to send you advance notice of our events. So just put your name and email here. We'll take a 15-minute break. We're serving 2 Italian wines. So we've got a white Italian. What's it say on the label?
Corretto.
Where's it from? Somewhere, say in Italy where it's from? She doesn't have her glasses. Little Momento, okay. So that's enough detail. So we've got a nice Italian white, and we've got a nice Italian red. Unless you think all we do here is drink wine, we also have water as well. So you have that. And there are, as far as your empties, there is 2 strategically placed trash bins. So there's one up here, so you can put your empties in here. There's also one in the back. Do you have the announcement?
Montefacione.
From where?
Montefacione.
Okay, Montefacione. Where's the red from?
That is the red.
No, that's the white.
Is it? No, it's the white, right? And the red is from, I didn't know it was going to be this test. I'm not just written so small.
Okay. So we'll suffice
It's
it.
from Roma.
From Roma, okay.
Whatever.
Sure. So those of you who have been to the Metropolitan Opera, we don't have a little pretentious man in a tuxedo with a triangle. What we do is we're far more impressive that we will ring the bell and dim the lights to let you know when it's time to resume. Okay? So enjoy your intermission, and we'll see you in 15 minutes. So let's welcome them back. It's going to be a little bit different this evening.
Yeah, so I did want to give you all a little bit of context about what you're about to hear. So I kind of want to come out and talk to you a little bit more candidly here than from behind my stand. But so I'm super excited to introduce Kyle, who is a wonderful local composer here on Long Island, and I'm I'm gonna save my own ramblings and just read his bio to you because it's very impressive. So Kyle Krause is a New York-based composer, pianist, and music educator. His compositions explore textural and prismatic aspects of music and are often inspired by the infinite correlations between science and nature. The use of resonance, micro-polytonality, and timbral blending are also key components of his works. Kyle has recently collaborated with groups such as the Chamber Fellows of the Civic Orchestra of Chicago, Ensemble Mise En, the Los Angeles Percussion Quartet, and Acro Musical. He received a bachelor's degree in composition and a piano performance from Northern Illinois University, a master's degree in composition from Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins University, and is currently pursuing a PhD in composition at Stony Brook University. And of course, you can definitely visit his website to find out more about him, KyleKrauseComposer.com. And I just wanted to give you all a little bit of context about this piece because it is very, very rightfully so different than what you just heard. The previous set is Italian historical works, and Kyle, sitting here right before us, is not an Italian from 1800. So the reason why I decided to put this piece on this recital and show it to all of you is because of the history behind it. So a year or two ago, Kyle and I were talking about some poetry that we were interested in, and I brought up this really touching set of lines and stanzas that I was just so moved by the very, very well-known and world-famous at her time opera star Adelina Patti. And you might know her, you might not. She had a very large castle built, and she had a railroad built, and it was all very influential. She was an international diva. She's Italian born. She is an Italian, but she was actually born in Madrid because her parents were also Italian opera singers. So they were traveling and performing at the time, and they were performing a show in Madrid, and there's a lot of rumors about how it actually happened. Some say it was in the green room, some say it was backstage, but Adelina Patti was actually born in Madrid. So she is an Italian though, and I will say that very strongly. And the poetry that you're about to hear is extremely touching, mainly because of the author. The author is actually someone who worked at the castle. And I found this very unique, very strange, because someone who works at a castle as some sort of servant, she was actually a laundry maid. Her name was Ethel Rosate Lunn. And someone who works at a castle, I found it interesting that she would write this beautiful poetry about her boss. You know, she's working for this woman, she's working for this diva, she is her laundry maid. And yet here she goes writing this absolutely breathtaking, kind, very cherished poetry about this woman. So that to me just spoke to me as this woman was more than an international star. She was more than that. She was a philanthropist. She worked for improving the lives of the people around her. She was more than just a singer. She was more than a diva. She was more than that. So that's why we've settled on this text. And I will read you just a little bit about the piece, and then we'll get right into it. The Craggynos Castle was built in the Welsh countryside in 1841 through 1843 and has become known as one of the most haunted castles in all of the UK. It was purchased by the famous opera singer Adelina Patti in 1878, and then, this is very crucial to the piece, after her death in 1919, the castle became a children's tuberculosis sanatorium until 1986. So, the majority of the text is extracted from two poems written by Adelina Patti's laundry maid, Ethel Lunn. There are two AI-generated recordings of letters written by tuberculosis patient Horace Batts.
which are embedded in the tapestry of the digital media that is constantly unfolding. The work closes with a 1905 recording of Adelina Patti herself singing Sir Henry Bishop's Home Sweet Home. The expansive and shifting moods which the music so hauntingly captures feels like one is reaching back in time to touch the stories which only the moonlit stones the castle is built upon could tell. So, from that, I hope you can gather this is going to be a very different experience from what you just heard. And without further ado, here we go.
much. And if you'll bear with me for just a few minutes, we're going to reset the stage and we'll jump back over to Italy for a few more pieces in which I very much encourage you. You'll see the second one on this set. There's Caro Mio Ben, which is extremely popular, and I'll talk about in just a second. But you might see something there that you recognize, O Sole Mio, which I guess I should ask by a show of hands, does anybody know that song? Are you all familiar? Anybody familiar with O Sole Mio, right? It's very familiar to us Italians who know and love folk song. So I included that one, although it is not actually included in the 24 Italian art songs and arias from which all of the rest of them are extracted. I included O Sole Mio because it's very special to me, first of all. My grandfather, Giovanni Crinzi, he would sing it a lot. He came over from Italy, my grandfather, and in addition to singing Happy Birthday in Italian and other things that we did in family parties, you know, O Sole Mio was something that we bonded over. And actually, when I was a teenager, he gave me a CD of an Italian pop group that I loved very, very much called Il Volo. Is anyone familiar with Il Volo? Okay. Yes, of course. So they're three young gentlemen, maybe like the Italian Jonas Brothers, if you can think of them that way. But they record not necessarily all of their own music, but they also record Italian folk music, which I thought was really special, listening to a CD and hearing traditional Italian music. I didn't know it at the time that that's what it was because I was just a kid, but growing up and hearing Che bella cosa, ma io notte sole. I'm like, hey, Il Volo sings this. And my grandma's like, this is O Sole Mio. You know, Il Volo doesn't sing it. They sing it because it's O Sole Mio. Like, everybody sings it. So, I would like to, and now I gave Kate a minute here to reset, which is perfect. We're almost ready here. So before we sing O Sole Mio, which I hope you will join in, I think it will be very special for all of us here, we have Caro Mio Ben, which if anybody here is a singer, which I know some of us are, you will know Caro Mio Ben as a very, very popular choice from this anthology from which I extracted all of these art songs and arias. Caro Mio Ben translates as best as I can to dearly beloved, and the text goes into without you my heart languishes, my heart is languishing. Okay, so here we are with Caro Mio Ben. I hope you enjoy.
Caro mio ben,
grazie tutti. I'm so grateful that everybody could be here and to be celebrating this very special music with me and Kate. And I think that it's just such a wonderful way to bring people together over a shared heritage and a shared culture. It's a very, very special thing. So I'm so glad you could be here despite the rain, but I feel like it may have stopped. So that might be something to look forward to.
Was your singing drove it away?
Hopefully, God willing. So now I invite you very, very, very warmly, even if you feel like you are not a singer and you know O Sole Mio and you would be so kind as to join me in singing along. I think we all can use a little bit of sunshine, Sole Mio. And we'll have a little bit of a G chord here. We'll sing it a cappella. Okay. Join in if you feel compelled. Che bella cosa, una giornata sole, un'aria serena, doppio una tempesta, bell'aria fresca, pare già nevesta. Che bella cosa, una giornata sole. Manata sole, che bella è, oh sole mio, sta in fronte a te. Oh sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te. Quando fa notte, o sole ne scende, me viene quasi una malinconia. Sotto la finestra Torio restaria. Quando fa notte o sole se ne scende. Manata sole, che bella è, oh sole mio, sta in fronte a te. Oh sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a
So it's our tradition here to leave a few minutes for questions. So if anyone has any questions for any musicians or composers. Ask a question. I'll start with one for Catherine. Catherine, does it make any difference to you in terms of what language when you accompany someone, what they sing it? Does it affect what you play, or?
It doesn't affect what I play. I think that the styles are very different, right? If you're singing in German, it sounds nothing like an Italian song. So I don't know necessarily what that essence is, but it feels incredibly different. Also, I'm
But it
not so
doesn't
good at
affect your
German.
playing.
Well, I'm not so good at German, so I'm worse at following. Italian makes sense, so I know where she is.
There's definitely a different essence for sure. And you might be wondering if I just told you that I have Italian grandparents, but my name is Heidi Schneider. You might be a little confused there, but that's the power of love. And my father is German and also half Italian. His last name was Costanzo. His mother's maiden name was Costanzo, but she married a Schneider, and the rest is history. So I would say that the German essence is much different than the Italian essence when it comes to song, folk song especially. But yeah, I definitely would say it's a different essence.
It's just totally different vibe. Yeah.
Different vibe.
Question in the back, yes.
Where have you performed in Italy?
Oh gosh, I have yet to go to Italy actually.
Really?
Yes.
Let me know, I'll go with you.
Oh great, great. You plan the trip, I'll be there. My family actually just went this summer. They went on a cruise and they toured all around Sicily, which is where my family is from, and all the way up into northern Italy as well. So that was really special for them. My grandmother actually was most excited to go. She had never been, but she has always been undoubtedly Italian throughout my entire life. So I think that was really most special for her. But I have not performed in Italy, and that is something that I would definitely want to do in my lifetime. I hope so, you know.
We'll be there, front row.
Barbara?
I'm just wondering how old you were, Heidi, when you realized that you had such a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm not shy about my age. I'm 28 years old. So I did start singing rather young. My great-grandmother actually forced me, very lovingly, forced me to sing the American folk tune all the time. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer true. I am crazy, all for the love of you. You know the one. And that was actually my first memory of singing. So I started rather young, but I am 28 now.
Thank you.
Other questions? Kyle, I have one for Kyle. How did you get inspired to write that piece that Heidi sang?
Yeah, it started with the poetry that Heidi and I discovered together, and it sort of took off from there, trying to evoke the Welsh countryside a little bit.
So you started with the poetry, and then the research took you to the castle that became
That's correct.
sanitarium?
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, it's beautiful. It was the whole thing was beautiful, and I kept thinking, you know, here on Long Island, we have the former Kings Park Psychiatric Center, and we have a poetry series, as you know, here. And I remember just this haunting poem that somebody read one time about a relative who was an uncle that was shell-shocked, I think from the First World War or maybe the Second World War. And and she would see him always in the window, always looking out. And it's just that same sense of a haunted space. I felt that.
And it's actually a wedding venue now. You could get married in that castle.
Oh, you scared me. I thought you said Kings Park.
No, in the Kraginos Castle, it's an event venue. And I joked with Kyle a few times and with my teacher as well when I first presented his piece. And I said, you know, it's actually an event venue. We could go there and sing there. And I think we should probably put that on our bucket list as well. I'll sing in Italy, and then we'll head over to the castle, and we'll do a little singing there, and it'll be great. A little tour.
Any other questions? Yes, Robert.
How long does it take for pieces to get put together from beginning to end?
This one took me about a month to write, and then she spent, how long did you spend on it?
About 3 months, because I also had to accompany myself here on the iPad. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I was pressing things to the phrases that Kyle developed in MIDI files. He developed them and I was cueing them. So that part, in addition to the challenging music, was I had to coordinate this technology as well. It's brand new to me. So it was a couple of months, definitely, that I worked on it.
It was an exceptional piece.
Sure was.
Exceptional.
Thank you, yeah.
Question.
Question. So I heard there is like a pre-recorded voice. Did you have to record that too, or it's not really?
So that was actually Adelina Patti. It was actually a recording of her, and she was actually one of the people who spearheaded the recorded music anthology that we have now. Her and Caruso and some other very early opera stars were asked by the developers of the gramophone and all of the recording technology that they had, and she was one of the first people to be recorded. So these recordings of her, actually she's in her late 70s at the time, which is extremely old for the early 1900s, and she was well past her prime, so she was a little hesitant to do these recordings because obviously she was in her prime much earlier, but she did them anyway, and that was actually Adelina singing. So, yeah, not often you get to do a duet with a dead woman.
Any other questions? Yes, Sabrina.
Comment and then a question. First of all, you're both extremely gifted, so thank you for sharing that gift with us tonight.
Thank you.
Where do you get your training? Where did you get your training?
Well, we happen to be at Stony Brook. Yes, just down the street. That's where we met.
Yes, yeah, we did meet at Stony Brook. I also went to Fredonia University, Western New York, and I actually did my bachelor's there, and my master's and doctorate I'm completing here at Stony Brook. So, and you?
I'm less fun. I'm less New York. I went to undergrad in Boston at New England Conservatory, and then came and did my master's at Manus in the city, and then I came out here for DMA. So, yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah.
Other questions? Give them one more big round of applause. A couple of things as we wind up. The next group that I'll be performing here, April 6th, we have the Lazard-Becker guitar duo. On May 4th, we have the Voyager Reed Quintet. And on June 1st, we have Stephen Gorgone string duo. And let me just focus in on the group that's going to be here on April 6th, the Becker-Lazard guitar duo. These two musicians have played extensively as both a duo and as part of the Artesian Guitar Quartet over 10 years, including concerts in Canada, the United States, and England. Arias Becker, the one half of the group. Arias Becker has a rich and varied career as a guitarist and lutenist. He is currently Director of Guitar Studies at LIU Post, Professor of Guitar at Nassau Community College, and has been on the faculty of the Aaron Copland School of Music at Queens College. Mr. Becker is co-founder and artistic director of the Summer Music Festival in rural Quebec. And I'm not going to try to pronounce what the name of that festival. Tengo 3 años de español, but my French is. And Laura Lazard, the other half of the quartet, is the daughter of the very famous composer John Lazard. She began her guitar studies at the age of 13 in Florence, Italy. In addition to her work as a performer, Laura has been on the faculty of Bronx House Music School, the Guitar Workshop, the Bay School of Music, the Son de Musique Festival, and the Houston Center for the Performing Arts. She was a founding member of the artistic director of the Oberon Foundation, a nonprofit organization devoted to promoting the arts and artists on Long Island. And something else that makes her kind of unique and special for All Souls. She's the great-great-granddaughter of Stanford White, who designed this church. So, okay, thanks again, everybody.